Record of Ragnarok chapter 83. It is finally here, fellas. We are at the finale of this fight. This is truly the final round, the conclusion. We have a winner. It's over officially. Chapter starts off with two statues, one of Apollo, one of Leonidas, with both their logos, the Spartan logo and Apollo's logo. The two of them stare each other down from across the battlefield, and Apollo starts doing something with his hands. He closes his eyes and acquires focus. All the threads of Artemis spring out of his arms in this wild formation. Leonidas jumps away instinctively. Apollo then absorbs all the threads of Artemis back into his fists and brings his fists together. At this point, Goal says Lord Apollo united the Phobos Lear. What is he trying to do? Hilda says, no way, that technique. Which is a little odd because it's like, damn, she knew about this technique and just never disclosed it. It's like, damn, maybe you want to tell your fighter what the fuck is gonna be coming. Apollo brings his two fists to his face. He opens his eyes and he says, come, Artemis. All this bright light starts plaguing the crowd and plaguing the arena. Crowd's like, whoa, what is that? My eyes, my eyes. Apollo's gauntlet is releasing a powerful light that has never been seen before. Then suddenly, all that light disappears. At that moment, you see the ground cracking, all the tiles on the ground of the fucking battlefield break apart. This black figure emerges from the ground. It actually looks like black goo upon first look, but then when it's fully actualized, fully revealed, we find out that it's this giant statue of Apollo's sister, Artemis. The moonlight of Artemis is what they call this statue. It's got these giant claws, it's got the threads of Artemis intertwined into its hands. Heimdall says, what is that thing? A huge statue of a goddess appeared behind Apollo? Apollo just has a smug smirk on his face. Ares says beautiful. Hermes calls him out. In typical brother fashion, she's like, oh, what was that just now? He keeps making fun of the fact that Ares really loves his brother and wants him to win and everything. And Ares just like, fuck it, I'm not even gonna try to act tough right now. To be honest, that guy's just truly beautiful, bro. That's my brother out there. And Hermes like gives him praise. He's like, all right, that was honest, finally. And Zeus just chuckles. Zeus explains that sacred treasure is the moonlight of Artemis. It's been a while since I saw that. Hermes chimes in and says, since the Gigantomachia, I didn't think Apollo would use that. So he's been holding it back the whole time, which is funny. Apollo then, with an awesome shot with the statue behind him, says, now then, let's go. At that point, the statue starts forming something. The threads of Artemis have been revealed. All these strings come out of the hands and they start forming in this pattern. The goddess, says Heimdall. She is forming something with her light. And what do you guys think she formed? What we've been calling them for from day one. It is finally here. They teased us. I was questioning if we were really gonna find out, if we were really gonna see it. The golden bow that the two twin gods Apollo and Artemis wielded against the giants has finally made its presence known. Apollo puts his arm behind his head. He grabs the bow out of the air, and it's this huge, beautiful bow. Everything I could have hoped it could have been. A huge, brilliant bow appeared, says Heimdall. The crowd says it's big. That's a bow? How's he even gonna use that? Because the bow is literally bigger than his entire body. It's this giant bow. And as Apollo goes to draw the bow back, there's no actual arrows. The arrows come from Apollo. They're literally Apollo's light. They turn into the arrows. And he says, check this out. I gotta say, the panels of Apollo with the bow are some of my favorite panels of Apollo we've seen. It just looks majestic as fuck. It looks just natural. This is what we've wanted to see from him the whole time. Heimdall says he materialized the light and turned it into an arrow. Apollo says, this is Phobos Apollo's supreme technique. As he loads up an arrow, stares at Leonidas. Leonidas, unfazed, you don't give a fuck. He says, supreme? That's laughable. Go ahead and shoot, you dumbass. But Hilda's like, no, 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 no. Do not try to tank that. She screams out, yelps out. What you see is that when Apollo fires the bow, it's not just one simple shot. What happens is when he fires this light shot, all these different beams of light flood around. Like it's almost like there's an after effect where these light piercing bullets basically start raining down. It's reminiscent of kind of what Kizaru does from One Piece. And we see that one of these light beams like hit one of the gods in the crowd, one of the random divine beings, and it like rips off his ear immediately. And we're like, holy shit, did Apollo's techniques just fly into the crowd? The camera starts panning away from the guy. And we see this shot from like a hole. And we're like, wait a minute, what is that hole? That a hole in the wall? Like, what is it? And it's a hole in Leonidas' chest. The shot went through Leonidas' chest and hit the guy in the crowd. It is a straight hollowed out hole. It is crazy. Seared right through his fucking body. And Leonidas, he couldn't even see the attack. He's so shook afterwards and blood just pours out of his mouth. Heimdall doesn't even know what happened. He's like, what the fuck? Apollo's arrow disappeared at the same time as a flash of light. A hole was blown in Leonidas in the wall of the arena. Ares says, that's truly the power of the sun, a divine yet terrifying technique. Hermes says, indeed. Apollo's golden arrows are swift like light. If they were to hit a human being, they would die instantly before they can feel any pain. That truly is the fastest blow in the world of the gods. Now that is a crazy statement given what we've seen, all the different speed feats we've seen from the gods, especially Zeus's fist that surpasses time. If this is true, then a lot of the record of Ragnarok crossverse scaling gets fucked. Because if light speed is the fucking cap of the verse, if this is truly the fastest blow, it takes away all like the immeasurable infinite speed scaling that Zeus and Adam had. Now Zeus kind of counteracts it because Zeus makes a statement right after. He says, it's a technique that even the giants were helpless to defeat. In the heavens, only someone like me could resist that arrow. So he gives you that little nugget that can keep that scaling active for at least Zeus. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. Even that human is probably at his dead end, says Zeus. Leonidas kind of tries to poker face. You see these giant back muscles ripple out of his shirt. He kind of huffs, takes a second to collect himself, and he has a smirk on his face. He's like, this hurts like hell, you shitty motherfucker. Gearful says, Leo, those arrows are too much of a problem. I'll go back to shield form. Apollo says, you've even endured this blow. I'm impressed. I'm sure there's more than just that hurts though. You really are sturdy though, aren't you? And he rains down another shot of the bow. He calls it golden arrows of the shining meteor. Apollo epic chorus. So despite having the shield active, you see that it's just too much because, as I said, it's not just one single shot, it's all these different beams of light. So Leonidas is getting ripped apart, it's hitting his leg, hitting his abdomen, hitting him in all these different kind of places, but he's blocking like the major damage with the shield. And the ricochet from the shield is like fucking flying all over the arena, like people are in fucking harm's way for sure. But the shots keep raining down on Leonidas. He actually crumples all the way down to a knee. And this is funny because before this, he made a big deal about Apollo being the one to kneel before him. And now, Leonidas is the one kneeling before Apollo. He was brought to a knee by his technique. Gearful screams out, Leo! Heimdall says a terrifying series of shots. Invisible arrows of light rain down like a meteor shower. Leonidas is completely helpless. But in that moment, we pan back to Leonidas. We see that there's this giant puddle of blood around Leonidas' feet, but that doesn't stop him. He reaffirms himself, slams his foot down on the ground and says, gotta be careful. I was about to take a nap because it was so comfortable. Obviously he's being sarcastic, but it's like he was about to pass out right there. From the pain, from the damage, like he was already at his wits. Gearful says, I thought so. But we have to think about what to do about the invisible arrows. Leonidas cuts her off. He says, don't worry. If I can see it or not is irrelevant. It's just an arrow. I'll blow them away. Now, when he said this, I thought everything we speculated about the damn cigar was gonna be fucking absolutely true. I'll blow them away because he was blowing out the smoke earlier. Spoiler alert, that does not happen. Apollo says, I commend you for enduring this long. For that reason, I won't let you suffer. I'll end this now. And in that moment, you basically see like Leonidas, he just gets hit with a torrent of rage. He gets so pissed off. He's like, it's not over yet. And as Apollo fucking shot a beam at him, it almost looked like time slowed down for a second for Leonidas, and he fucking blocked the arrow, completely deflected it back. And what happens when he deflects it back is it catches Apollo off guard. He basically fucking gets hit by his own light arrow, fucking flies through, hitting Apollo through the statue and just flies into the wall or whatever. It didn't take Apollo's arm off completely, but it basically cut a slit all the way up his right arm and basically makes it very hard for him to draw arrows now. So this was significant. Heimdall says he deflected it. Ares, Hermes, they can't believe it. They're all a little bit shook. They're like, he managed to deflect that. Wouldn't that mean he can see Apollo's arrows? And Zeus confirms, no, he can't see it at all. It's instinct. That human, he must have gone through countless hells on the battlefield. The instinct of a warrior that he acquired from experience. That is what made it possible for him to shoot that arrow at a god. I like this because, you know, the way that they portrayed Leonidas in this, he's like that experienced combat vet. I like that. Now, do I think his instinct is going to allow him to react to this? I don't know. You're trying to call that precognition, whatever you want to call it. I understand why they did it. Ares says instinct, you mean intuition? Zeus just kind of laughs at him. He's like, you could say that as well. You're going to get semantical with me, I guess. Zeus says now, he took so many arrows, he's at his limit. And the pool of blood is still there, obviously. His Spartans in the crowd like Lord Leonidas. Zeus's energy completely shifts. You know, his face is dead serious and his eyes are all blacked out. But then Apollo is the same. He's also at his limit. You get the reveal of like the true damage that happened to his arm. The girls in the crowd are like, Lord Apollo, his right arm is cut. He can't draw the bow like that. And Leonidas says, seriously, saying things like, I commend you or I'll not let you suffer. What a stupid thing to say. Do you really think that I would be grateful, of all people, to receive such words from a god? Who the fuck do you think you're dealing with? with. You're dealing with me, goddammit. I love this. Leonidas is a beast. Scream is still defiant, still the mightiest rebel. All Apollo can do is smirk at this point. He says, you're a twisted motherfucker, I'll give you that. That's exactly what you are. I can't stand people like you. But even so, it's still a little bit beautiful. You're becoming a real man, you bastard. Can't wait for the official translations because I feel like it's going to be executed a little bit better, that dialogue. Because they do this like pan in shot of both their faces. And it seems like this is the moment where Leonidas actually respects Apollo. Apollo says, let me ask you something. Why do you fight so hard? Is it simply for revenge against me? Or is it to protect mankind's salvation? What is the reason? And Leonidas at this point draws yet another one of the cigars. They put emphasis on it again. Dope ass shot of him lighting up another one with the blood all over his fingertips, blood coming down his face. He says, I don't care about either, to be honest. Right now, it's my time to fight. That's it. So kind of a switch up because obviously the only reason he decided to fight this early in Ragnarok is because it was Apollo. So he did want revenge against Apollo. We got the reveal that all his preconceived notions about Apollo fell flat because it had a wrong interpretation of him. But the thing that I like about this is that it doesn't matter to Leonidas. I talked about how there should be consequences for his preconceived notions being wrong. But with Leonidas' personality and with his mentality, fuck all the prior knowledge. Fuck what anybody thought before the battle. We're in a fight now. That's it. That's all that matters. It's not just me versus you. I don't give a shit who you are, what you stand for. It's my life versus your life. Kill or be killed. That's it. That's pretty badass. Leonidas says we don't get to choose how we are born. So how we live or how we die, it's up to us. And you know what I just noticed? As he said, we don't get to choose how we're born. We get to see a shot of some of the other humans, the usual suspects, Okita and Sasaki for sure. But we also see Jack the Ripper. And when he says when we don't get to choose how we're born, there's emphasis on Jack the Ripper and his eyes are shadowed. His Valkyrie actually looks at Jack the Ripper. So that's a really cool detail that they added in because what they're doing is they're putting emphasis on the fact that, like, you know, Jack was born in such a shitty situation. He's remembering it. Leonidas says, I only follow my own soul, nothing else. The most willful man in the world. This is the Sparta I've been aiming for. Apollo says amazing. All Leonidas Spartans in the crowd scream out his name. They slam their shields into the ground and scream, we are with you. Leonidas gives them acknowledgement, gives them the nod and says, I got you. He says, geared you're full. Let's go. Let's do it. Our final transformation. Heimdall screams out, Leonidas' shield, it's changing again. This aura like takes over the battlefield. And I'm at this point thinking, spear, 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 spear. Turns out to just be a fucking another shield, bro. It's called Alicia Sparta Shield of Truth. It is badass because basically what it turns out to be is like, you saw how Leonidas' shield initially looked like this giant, like teched out shield. It almost looked like a vibranium shield, Captain America's shield. Now it looks much more in line with that Spartan ideology, that rough and tumble Spartan timeline shield. It's just like this slab of rock, this giant slab of rock on Leonidas' arm. He's like, fuck it, we rolling. Like, this is my real shield. Hilda says it's a very simple shield. Mo says, what on earth are they gonna do with that? Hilda says, I believe they're going back to the roots of Sparta. The essence of Sparta. That's why it looks like that. The epitome of Sparta. Phalanx. It's the essence. It's not the defense. And what's crazy here is that this is such a tease, bro, because they show us a whole montage of like the Spartans fighting with a spear and a shield. We've already seen the fact that when Leonidas transforms his weapon, he can have a shield with a weapon with the chain attached to it. So why the fuck are we not getting the spear here? The narrator says it's the unstoppable advancement. So again, emphasis on the entire emphasis here is on the Spartan formation and marching with the shield and spear. So it's literally tailor-made in this instance for him to have the spear. But what they're going for here, it took me a while to like understand this. What they're going for is they're trying to say that this shield serves as the shield and the spear. That he is going to be able to march through as both. And you'll understand why in a second. Now, at this moment, the author is cooking. We are getting the best shots of the fight by far. Leonidas' face looks so detailed here with ore emanating off his face, ore emanating throughout his whole body from his back. It is unreal, truly beautiful, as Apollo would say. And Apollo feels the aura, like he feels the energy Leonidas is exuding. He's like, enormous pressure. I'm grateful. By burning my soul with you, I will become even more beautiful, even stronger. And basically what happens at this point is that the statue starts reforming something else. The bow and arrow is no longer optimal because he can't draw the bow correctly anymore. It basically looks like this giant webbing. It's coming together and it's this rope. We're like, this rope, what the fuck's he gonna do? And then you see this motherfucker, this beast Apollo, start putting his back on the rope and gaining momentum. This man is turning himself into the arrow of the bow and arrow. The statue is gonna serve as the bow and he's gonna serve as the arrow. He loads it back to get all the fucking tension And this smirk crosses his face. The narrator says there's more to the myth of Apollo. At the moment when Phobos Apollo shone beautifully as the sun, he took his place on Artemis' bow. He became a silver arrow to break down the walls of Argo. He's gonna slingshot himself at Leonidas. And that's why he's representing his own bow and arrow. Leonidas is representing the spear and the shield. Ares can't believe he's like, that guy. He's gonna break that shield head on. That's what he's trying to do. Heimdall says the strongest arrow in the heavens and humanity's strongest shield will clash right now. And this montage, I just told you, the author's cooking some of the best shots of the battle. You get to see all the aura of Leonidas, the aura of Apollo. Definitely the best auras we've seen, in my opinion. You get all the pan-in shots of the bystanders watching and a beautiful stare-down shot. They always do the stare-down shots. So much justice in this series. But then they both launch at each other. Apollo launches from the bow. Leonidas meets him in the middle. We get montage, panel after panel, their auras, them loading up their attacks, firing off at each other. Leonidas' shield straight up looks like it's covered in fire. A spiral, almost looks like Spirit Tomb from fucking Pokemon. Just a spiral of fucking aura and fire and fucking brimstone, bro. He looks like such a savage with his giant muscles. But Apollo, never fucking wavering. They're just both going head on. Everybody in the crowd is filled with anticipation. They're screaming, they're hyped up. Nobody can contain themselves. The rubble is flying up from Leonidas' feet. Apollo's being chased by his own light. Then, in one of the sickest panels in Record of Ragnarok in general, you see Apollo's face at the top, you see Leonidas' face at the bottom. Leonidas straight up looks like a demon. He's got welts all over his face. And diagonally down the panel, you see Apollo looking like a fucking speeding rocket, and Leonidas coming back down looking like a rocket himself, just about fucking on a crash course mission for each other. In that moment, this technique is called Phalanx Lambda from Leonidas and Soul Piercing Arrow from Apollo. They meet in the middle. And you know how it goes. Leonidas using the shield, the smaller thing pierces through the bigger one. Leonidas' arrow, his silver piercing arrow, pierces straight through the shield, and he cuts straight through it, puts a hole in Leonidas' fucking body. It's a savage scene. Leonidas is stunned. His mouth opens, blood splatters everywhere. His great shield was shattered. But at this moment, like, you see he's stunned, you see he's fucked up, blood splatters everywhere. Deirdre is yelping in pain. She got fucking rocked. But in that moment, she knows what they need to do. She screams out, Leo, do it, do it. He loads up this giant punch. He's like, I got this motherfucker where I want him. I'm gonna punch him down. He redirects Apollo's arm. He pushes it away. Apollo looks shook. He looks up at Leonidas. He figures out what's gonna happen. And Deirdre screams out, let's give him. And simultaneously, just like what happened when they did the giant club swing, they both together say, how? On this arrogant face of yours, says Leonidas. But you know what the saying goes in boxing. You know who the king of boxing is, the god of boxing. Straight punches always beat looping punches. Leonidas was trying to put everything into this final shot. Everything corked up into this giant punch, this giant swing with this huge windup. Apollo was too quick for that. He saw what was coming and instantly just said, fuck it. He redirected my attack. Boom. Quick with a little jab straight through Leonidas' body, and it was too late for Leonidas. Right before his fist could land, Apollo had already pierced him, and all you see is Apollo's eye looking a hole straight through Leonidas. All Leonidas can do at this point is laugh and acknowledge it. He says seriously. As always, he's making that annoying face as he turns into the crystal. Now, I've seen some people talking about this. They think that Leonidas potentially could have gotten a draw here if he would have landed the blow. Kind of similar to what they said about Hercules. I don't get that interpretation at all. He definitely wanted to kill Apollo with the blow. Apollo just landed first. Because what Leonidas does is like he ends up pulling the fist back to his face. But he doesn't have the strength to finish the blow. Like, he had the strength to pull it there, but he doesn't have the strength to finish the blow, and it was already over. And Apollo didn't look worried anyway. All of the people in the crowd, Haggis is bawling. Everyone that admired that man's back, everyone who followed him, they're all weeping. Even the elders who shunned him and were pissed at him for breaking the statue and didn't aid him on his war effort. Leonidas says, did you guys see what happened? Haggis, weeping, says, yes, Lord Leonidas. You have always, since we met, always been the greatest Spartan who ever lived. Leonidas, for the first time, he smiled, but his smiles before have been real sinister, like for devious reasons. In this instance, for the first time, in my opinion, we see Leonidas smile with pure joy, pure happiness on his face. He says, I see, I'm received. We Spartans are the strongest. He puts his arm to his chest and he fades away. But as he's fading, he ends up falling forward. The narrator says, everyone that praised the back of that man who rebelled against fate. I love this scene. because it shows how much Apollo really respected him. Apollo catches him before his face will hit the ground. He catches him, so his fall is gracious and isn't unbecoming. Essentially hugs him, and he says, "You guys were the peak of beauty." The absolute utmost respect you can give to Leonidas and Gearful. The narrator says he lived his life in the most willful way in the world. Ragnarok round 9 has concluded. The winner is Apollo. Match time 9 minutes 30 seconds. Deciding move, soul piercing silver arrow. Victor, Apollo. What a chapter. What a fight. Love the fight. Do I think it was a bit rushed? Would I have preferred a couple more chapters? Sure. Do I understand though that the fact is, as soon as Apollo pulls out this arrow, this bow and arrow, essentially that kickstarts the climax of the fight, really can't push it forward much longer? Yeah. The way that they build up this arrow and the damage that it was doing, fight kind of had to end. And this was a really long chapter. I think they did it justice, and I'm satisfied with it. Now, did it surpass Jack and Hercules for me? No. But did it conclude well? Yes. Am I happy Apollo won? Yes. I was rooting for Apollo the whole time. I love his character. He's one of my favorite characters of the series. Leonidas was also great though. The only thing that I can say, he delivered on giving us the bow and arrow. Why not just give us the spear? I think it was because he needed Apollo to break through the shield in that kind of way. And if Leonidas had the spear as well, it would have been like almost like they both would have been hit there because he would have had extra range. So I see how it would have muddied the waters, but it is kind of like, especially because you're building up that, he's supposed to be the spear and shield. Just give us the spear. But overall, love the fight. Let me know what you guys think about this. I'm going to be flooding a ton of Ragnarok content, so make sure you're subscribed for all that. Drop a like, turn that notification bell on, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.